that the Europeans employed to ensure their effective control of East African colonies. So the German system of colonization or colonial administration that was used in Tanganyika is direct rule. The direct rule involved the Germans directly in the administration of their colony. So under this system, the traditional chiefs lost their powers and authority to the Akidas and Jumbes, who were the Africans but Asians origin from the coast. So the Germans employed Africans to help in administration, and these Akidas and Jumbes replaced Africans in administration. So the Akidas and Jumbes took over the African responsibility, or took over the African work in the administration of Tanganyika. So the system was dictatorial and ruthless altogether, and hence it led to a lot of resettlements from Africans. Africans faced the problem of the German rule in Tanganyika, which was so harsh. It was ruthless, it was dictatorial, and at the end of the day they had nothing to do apart from putting up resistance against the German rule in Tanganyika. So let us see why did the Germans apply direct rule in Tanganyika. So the Germans believed that it was the only system through which they could effectively administer Tanganyika. So they revised and they said, now we think this is the only thing we can do to have effective control over Tanganyika. So the Germans saw this as the only method they can employ to ensure the effective administration of Tanganyika. So another one, they also believed that it was the only way that they could effectively exploit resources within Tanganyika. The Germans had used force to take over many parts of Tanganyika, and therefore soldiers had to be used to so that Africans could easily soldiers had to be used so that Africans wouldn't easily revolt altogether, so that our soldiers wouldn't easily revolt against the German rule in Tanganyika. Another one, we have the Germans wanted to impose their superior culture over the Africans altogether. They wanted to make sure that Africans adopt their culture altogether. So they wanted to make sure that Africans also witness, or also enjoy, also welcome their superior culture, and they took that of Africans to be inferior. The Germans were also proud people, and therefore used this system to stand high and above the Africans. They wanted to show that for them they are above Africans and Africans are below them. The Germans had suffered earlier revolts and therefore had to bring in the harsh Akidas and Jumbes from Asia to tame the Africans altogether. African chiefs were told to stand aside, and the Akidas and Jumbes took over. Still, in many societies, there were no chiefs, and where they existed, they were not faithful or powerful enough, and therefore the Germans had no one to entrust with their authority in East Africa, apart from them getting themselves the harsh Akidas and Jumbes who could help them in administering other territories. So there are many reasons why the Akidas and Jumbes were chosen by the Germans. There are many reasons to why the Germans, among all the methods, they resorted to the direct rule. So let us see how did the direct rule work in East Africa, or the nature of the direct rule. Remember, we looked at the nature of the indirect rule. To begin with, on top of the German administration table was the governor, who was the head of the colony, stationed at Dar es Salaam, and in most cases a soldier. So for the Germans, they are different from the British. The British had what they called the indirect, whereby it was the colonial secretary in London that had to give orders to the colonial governor, and the colonial governor had to give orders to the provisional and the district administrators. So to Germans, on top was the governor, who was the head of the colony, and this governor stationed at Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and this man had to be a soldier. So the governor had wide powers and authority and was directly answerable to the colonial administrator in Belgium, that is in Bahrain, that is in German. So the governor had wide powers and authority and was directly answerable to the colonial minister in Bahrain, that is German. So in 1904, there was a governor's council that was set up to advise the governor. So the governor, for his administration, was helped by the council, and the advisory council was there to help him in formulating rules, regulations, and then implementing them. So for effective administration, the governor divided Tanganyika into districts, and by 1914, they were 22 districts. So each district was under a district officer called the Baskatman, and with the police office, the police force, and a small army to maintain law and order. Are we together? The Basel Kamastam was the district officer, and he was helped by the police in maintaining law and order for his administration. So district officers acted as judges and appointed chiefs to provide over courts and administer punishments on behalf. Are we together? On their behalf. They were also the highest court of appeal. Are we together? So the district officers acted as judges in the high courts. Are we together? In the high courts, they helped in judging or extending judgment. Are we together? So districts were further divided into counties, which were further splintered into sub-counties, and sub-counties into villages over 20,000 to 30,000 people for his administration. Areas that showed hostility to German rule were under what we call military rule. Igi, in 1914, the two districts of Iranga and Mahenge were under military rule because they were so hostile. Are we together? Are we together? They are so chariotic. So the German governor, common district officers, and the members of the governor's council that was formulated in 1905 were all whites. Therefore, the whites dominated the top position, and the Africans were left to rule the lower levels. Are we together? So below the district officers were the Swahili Arabs, called the Akidas and Jumbes, who helped in administering, who helped in ruling, who helped in making judgments in the conquered states where the governor had assured them leadership. So this helped in administering the conquered areas. Many local chiefs were stipulated here, were sprinted in, of their powers, and were replaced with the Akidas and Jumbes. These turned out to be very harsh and brutal to fellow Africans, and in the end, they made them to fight